Peace, family. A friend of mine sent me a video of Dick Gregory. He was talking about how black people, we can never catch up economically with whites. So we need to focus on entrepreneurship, building corporations, and using tax write-offs to close the economic gap. And a lot of what Dick Gregory was talking about, I can agree with. But one of the things I want black people to get out of their heads altogether is this notion of catching up economically with whites. When you look at what the path that white people chose to take to gain their economic, political, and industrial and judicial dominance over our people, it's diabolically opposed to our way of life. We cannot do what white people done. When you look at what white people did, they had to abandon humanity, spirituality, compassion, sympathy to do what they did. You had a small group of 1 to 2% of white people enslave a larger group of Africans. And they did this for almost 300 years. But keep in mind, this did not happen by itself. They had the help of the vast majority of other whites to help perpetuate this for 300 years. And if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm not telling the truth, I want you to answer a question for me then. How do you have 1 to 2% of white people enslave a vast number of Africans who was opposed to slavery, while at the same time the other 98% of white people who were opposed to slavery? How did this 2% of whites perpetuate slavery through all this resistance for almost 300 years nonstop? The reason for it is because what this small 1 or 2% of white people was doing was creating an economic, political, judicial, industrial base that the vast majority of other white people could enjoy. That's why it lasted so long. You had the instigators, and then you had the benefactors all working in collaboration. Now, in order for black people to extract themselves from this situation, we need to do what white people did, but we need to do it in a moral means. We need a small group of black people to come together and fund our own independent businesses, industries, and institutions that will benefit the vast majority of other black people. It is not about catching up economically with whites, because immoral money is always going to outpace moral money. Well, you can always steal more money than you can earn. Our path is a moral path. When you look at if black people built their own independent businesses, industries, and institutions and maintain this economic, political, judicial, and social dominance of our people for the next 300 to 500 years, can you imagine how much money we could earn, how much shelter we could provide for our people, how much protection we could provide for our people? Look at it like this. Without a black independent business and economic structure, how much money would General Motors make in the next 500 years? How much money would Apple, iPhones, and computers, how much would they make in the next 500 years? Now imagine all the businesses and industries that black people currently participate and support now. Let's say we were to create our own independent businesses, industries, and institutions. How much money would these companies that's in existence today, would they make in the next 500 years? A lot less than if we had our own. You see, like I say, it is not about us catching up economically with whites. We would never be able to do that. What we need to focus on is building our own independent means to sustain our own existence and having self-determination. Self-determination is going to trump their economics 100% of the time. If we own and control our own means to sustain our own existence, I don't care how much money these people have. They could never negatively impact our people. So our pursuit for justice and righteousness has never been about money. It's always been about ownership and control.